Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. On Fridays, we talk about the product owner role in Scrum. We talk about patterns and anti-patterns that relate to ours and the team's collaboration with the product owner. And we've also put together a course to help you navigate that relationship. There's 18 modules, nearly 8 hours of tools, techniques, videos, handouts, presentations you can use to help you and your team work better with your product owner. The course is available at bit.ly/coachyourPO. All lowercase, all one word. That's bit.ly/coachyourPO. And now, on to the show, the Product Owner Show. TGIF, everybody. Today is Friday, and it's the last, but it's not over yet, episode of the week with Erik the boss. Hey, Erik, welcome back.
Hi, Vasco. I'm going to miss our talks.
Definitely. I mean, yesterday's talk, I felt that we could have gone for at least a 1 hour episode with that one. But that's not what this format is about. This is about sharing great insights from our own experience with the rest of the community. And that's what we will do today about the product owner. So let's start with what might be something hard to discuss, but important to understand. Give us an example, Erik, of what might have been potentially the worst product owner anti-pattern you've witnessed in your career.
Yes. Well, that's an easy one. And I mean, he was a good guy. He was at I invited to my place for dinner a few times. So he will understand, I guess. But I was working at a company, and we had an IT manager, and he was the kind of guy who was really convinced that he knew better, that developers need direction, that employees are lazy by definition. He's quite old-fashioned. So he was really an interesting person, because I could have a really good conversation with him about Agile, theoretically, and we would really understand each other. But yeah, when the shit hit the fan, then he would just revert to that old-fashioned authoritarian. I'm the boss.
And what do you mean by that? Was like under pressure, or he had to make a decision on the spot, or like what do you mean by that?
Yeah. The moment it wasn't theoretical anymore. You know,
okay. So when it was practical instead of theory.
I mean, he was also partner of the company, so money was also an issue for him. For him, every minute was money. So that was the thing. It was really interesting. I mean, he called me a communist, and we would have a laugh about that, but it wasn't really a joke. You know what I mean? So we had a lot of friction, but it was usually quite positive.
So that speaks to quite a big contrast, as I hear you say or describe the situation, where you have one product owner who feels that I own too much of this and I don't want any of this to go to waste, so you will do it my way, right? Exactly. And then you have the Scrum Master whose job, responsibility, and even expectations is to say, hey, it's the team that owns the delivery and they have to decide how to do it, not you, dear product owner. It sounds to me that it's like a match made in hell, right? Like, yep. How did you navigate that relationship?
Yeah, it was tough. We had shouting matches. I mean, the boss, the director, he would come to our office to ask if we're okay, because the whole company could hear us screaming at each other. But it was always with respect, and that's important. I mean, this guy was difficult, but he was a stand-up guy. He had integrity, and I worked with him for years, and I tried to get him on board, and I think it ended. I was in my last team. And we lost our product owner, so he came in as a replacement, and I guess because of all the friction and the fact that we kind of pushed him a little bit away from the teams, he had a bit of a chip on his shoulder, and he really came in with something to prove. and really indeed telling us how to do our work and not listening to us. And the worst part was that he took complete control of the communication with the client. So that made it really hard for us as a team to get involved. And yeah, we just did what he told us because we didn't have any possibility of participating. And yeah, we had a lot of trouble with it until at a certain moment, like, of course, it was going to happen sooner or later. It blew up in our face, and we built something which was completely wrong, and we had a really pissed off client. So this this was like, it was clear for everybody that this had to change. So we had a retrospective, and like I said, he was a stand-up guy, and he owned up to the problem. And we discussed the fact that it was just his nature. And yeah, we looked at it in a very practical sense, and what we decided was simply like, okay, you're the product owner. You are. We split up the refinement into two parts. In the first part, you are involved. So you can communicate with the client and with us, and we can talk about what we're going to do. And after that, it's over. You leave it to the team to decide the how, and you're completely not involved in that part. And it worked, and it created some balance. Yeah, eventually we got a new product owner. And I think he was never a product owner after that again. I think he just accepted that he was just not suitable for the job.
And that's actually a very important realization, if the person indeed got that, because it's not easy to give up that responsibility, especially if it's your own company.
No, exactly.
And at the same time, it's critical that you give it up, because in an agile team, the people participating in the process need to have enough distance to accept that, we will find a way without me having to tell everybody what to do, when to do it, and all the details of what needs to be done.
Yeah, I think that is the thing which I learned from that experience, is that Agile is very democratic, but there is a certain amount of, may I call it, talent that you need to fulfill a role. You have to be suitable for it. Like, I mean, I know I'm a pretty good Scrum Master, and I'm also a pretty good developer, but I think I would be lousy as a product owner. And that is important, that you understanding your character and how it would fit in the role.
Absolutely, and it's not always easy to do that.
No. Exactly.
So, Erik, now we turn our attention to the opposite, the mirror image, what might have been potentially the best product owner you've ever worked with. Describe them for us.
Yeah, well, actually, he's my current product owner. I've been working with him for 3 months, and I think he's brilliant. He is annoyingly laissez-faire. He's the kind of guy who leaves absolutely everything to the team. And the only thing he's busy with is with the product vision, with the goal. I mean, I think I have to check, but I think he hasn't written a single user story in our backlog. He leaves that to the developers. I think his main focus is the vision and empowering the team. Talk about ownership.
How does this product owner empower the team? What are the maybe the techniques, the approaches, or the lack of that ends up empowering the team?
He's not afraid of failure, so he's happy to just let the team do whatever they want, and the only thing he does is he keeps us sharp on the target. I mean, we have a very serious deadline, but the only thing is he asks is, are we going to make it? And sometimes we have a discussion, is this going to contribute to our deadline? And that's it. I mean, I'm a very relaxed Scrum Master. I take pride in not worrying about things and creating room for failure. But I always manage to have some kind of idea of what's going on. And now I don't. I mean, I don't know how he handles it, but it's fantastic because it works. I mean, our team, we use sprint goals, and it's something which I didn't have to teach them or anything. It's so obvious for them. And it comes from the team. The only thing he does is like, okay, what are we going to do this sprint to reach our goal? Yeah, and most of the time the team will figure out the sprint goal, and the only thing he'll do is just say yes or no. And often, if we ask him a question, he'll just say, "What do you think?"
That's, by the way, a superpower that I would recommend everybody get into their toolbox, because what do you think or what would you do is actually indeed I think it's this magic empowerment pill.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So when people ask you a question, if you ask them, what would you do? That's empowerment right there.
Exactly.
Right? It's not, have you thought about it? Would you do this? Would you do that? I suggest that.
Yeah.
But rather, what would you do?
Yeah. And the result is that our backlog is a mess. I mean, we're writing stories on the fly because we don't have the overview. And we don't need it because the whole project is in everybody's minds. And that is because of that empowerment. Everybody's taking their responsibility, and for me as a Scrum Master, it's beautiful, because the only thing I need to do is be ready to give them possibilities when they run into problems themselves. Like only recently, they pointed out that maybe for the next after the deadline, that it would actually maybe be handy to have a proper backlog, because we have a lot of dependencies, and they realized like, oh shit, yeah, dependencies. If we'd figured this out earlier, then it wouldn't be a problem right now. And then I'm just standing there going like, oh, I know something about that. Let me help you. And then it's again ownership. I can just give it to them, and it's a problem that they find.
And that's actually something that Scrum Masters need to consider, that very often we know what the problem is, like the previous product owner we were talking about, right?
Yeah.
We know the problem you need to solve. But actually, if we just hear, there's always stuff the team is talking about, or the product owner is talking about. And our job is to, when the situation emerges, to come up with, would you like my help?
Yeah.
Right? We don't even need to say what to do. We can just ask, would you like my help?
Yeah,
because if they say, no, we got this, then you can stand back. Because it is really about helping teams and product owners, in this case, also achieve what they want to achieve. And if they're not ready to succeed, like the previous product owner that we were talking about, sometimes we need to let them fail.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's I mean, it's something I know it's one of my weaknesses. I like to help people, so I'm always very quick in offering solutions, and I find it amazing that I'm learning about that from a product owner instead of from a Scrum Master. And it all boils down to leadership. I mean, pure leadership. He's like, I don't know, Master and Commander, the movie. It's about.
I'll put the link in the show notes.
Yeah, well, it's about a captain on a ship, and the way he says two words, and the whole crew is in action, and the way his crew takes the responsibility. That's what he does. I'm learning so much from him. It's really great.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of work to be able to step back and let the team take leadership. Like that's the thing. It's sometimes you might get the illusion that they're doing nothing, but what they are doing is acting with their whole self.
Yeah.
Right? Stepping back is an act of leadership as well.
Yeah, and
of course, assuming you know what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, exactly. And the important thing is that he doesn't talk about it, but he has the whole stakeholders behind him. He's got the mandate, he's empowered, and he's doing that all without tiring us with it. You know, the team, they know that there's stakeholders and stuff, but it doesn't affect us. And I'm sure that he's, managing all that and making sure that, so that's also the aspect of leadership, that you take one for the team without, showing that you did.
Humility, without bragging about it.
Yeah, exactly. A bit of humbleness.
Absolutely. Erik, it's been a pleasure. This week has been filled with insights and great stories. But we're getting close to the end. Before we do go, I do want to know, and I'm sure our listeners too, where can people find out more about you and the work that you're doing?
I'm on LinkedIn, of course. Maybe my articles. Most of the things I talked about in the show are also things I write about. I use my articles to explore subjects, to explore ideas, to test them with people who actually read them. So that's I write on Medium. I'm a writer for Serious Scrum, so you can find my articles there.
Absolutely. We'll put the link on the show notes so people can easily just click it
and cool.
Read through Erik's articles. Erik, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for your generosity with your time and your knowledge.
Well, thanks a lot for having me. I'm terribly honored. It was great fun.
One more week of the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast is over, but there's a lot more we have to share. We have developed our own membership site where you find a community of active and engaged Scrum Masters. In this site, you get access to exclusive content and get to interact with us, your podcast hosts, as well as the best Scrum Masters in the world. Join us at scrummastertoolbox.com/podcast and keep this podcast free of advertising. See you next week for one more week full of Scrum Master tips and tricks. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.